Hello, my name is Yashaswini and I am Nataraj's student from the test series Cum Mentorship program as well as his classroom program. I would like to tell a few words, in fact testimonial, about his wonderful test series that he's conducting and also his classes. Nataraj's test series has been a wonderful gift when I was kind of struggling with my preparation for mains. I started my mains preparation quite late because I was awaiting my results. I approached Nataraj sir because Nataraj sir was my anthro teacher beforehand in my classroom program. So he took anthropology optional for me. I approached Nataraj sir. I was almost on the verge of tears because I delayed my preparation. When I started, I was very underconfident and I always thought my GS as well as my optional preparation was lacking. So when I started, his test series was something that put me into the groove. Nataraj sir has always been my pillar of support throughout my program, not just for anthropology, just anthropology. It was also for my GS as well, because he made sure that my time-bound practice of answer writing started with Nataraj sir's test series, and in my UPSC preparation as a whole, his test series has always been something that I would proudly mention everywhere, because when I started, I lacked in many fields. So one thing was that I could not manage time between GS and optional. So he made sure that his test series was personalized and customized to my requirements. He made sure that I accommodate GS as well as test series. So it has been a great help throughout my UPSC journey and not just my optionals, because what I learned about quality as well as time management in his test series. And he gave me a few approaches which was more like a formula which I could use both in my optional as well as in my GS and also in my essays. So that has been something that has given my answers an holistic approach, and an overall, it seems like my answer has been well written because I have covered all the aspects. That is something that is unique to Nataraj sir, I would say. And his test series has also been it's not just about his test series. His test series has given me immense results and everything, but it's also about his mentorship program, that I must say. His mentorship has he was always there with me throughout the journey. He always made sure that I give enough time for my GS, and though he's an optional teacher, he never makes his students just grind for optionals or something like that. He makes sure that we have enough space for both and we manage both. And he also makes he made me realize the importance of optional and made sure that I give enough time for optional that is required, because people like students these days are in this inhibition that GS carries much more marks and optionals is kind of nullified because of scaling and stuff. But Nataraj sir made sure that I realized the importance of my optionals and I work hard towards it. He was always my pillar of support when I was breaking down mentally, because other people could complete their optionals much before me, and I was still in somewhere like part 1 of paper 1 or something. Like it was almost like I was left with more than 3/4 of my syllabus, and the rest of them had almost completed the syllabus. When I went with all such sorrows, even like though it might sound pitiful, or I would say it might sound just preparing for both GS as well as optionals, he made sure that I stay motivated and encouraged throughout my journey. So I would say Nataraj sir's test series and mentorship program has played a major role in not just my anthropology as well as in my GS as well, and overall in my UPSC preparation. Learn with Nataraj's test series and mentorship program has, if I must say, in a single line, has been holistic, just like my subject anthropology. But then if I must split it apart and mention each and every one of his speciality, I think it would take a long time. And but then I like to mention a few. He made sure that to begin with, what UPSC demands is quality as well as time bound approach. So he made sure that I have very good quality in my answers. So each and every one of my answer has been given a customized as well as answer specific suggestion by Nataraj sir. And also apart from that, he makes sure that everywhere, like, if I am good at drawing personally, so he made sure that I encash on my talent, and he gave me some unique drawings which otherwise are not generally found in other extra in some parts. So he tries to understand every student's strengths as well as weaknesses and customizes their own programs. And his mentorship has been wonderful in another sense, that is his time, it's the amount of time that he gives each and every student. So I remember spending hours and hours on call with him. So his calls, I would classify them into 3 types. So first one is pre-test calls, where he would give me some tidbits about how to handle difficult questions, or what kind of approach would be best when I am writing sectional tests. Each section demands a particular strength, like particular aspect of your preparation. So he would tell me, for example, if it's biological anthro, he would give me some special insights which could make my biological anthro questions more unique. So he made sure that I get such tidbits pre-exam so that I handle such questions better. And post-exams, he would make sure that he calls me and inquires how I wrote, how much time I used, how I felt about the paper, or what I think about the paper and something like that. And then the third kind of calls were after his evaluation of my paper was done. Then he would again call me and we would sit and discuss. It's not that he gives me suggestions and I keep on taking a note of it. It was more like we have a discussion about why I could not implement a few previous suggestions, or how I implemented his previous suggestions and what his current suggestions are, and on how much I have improved, or where I have been lacking, or where I need more improvement. And he never hesitates to give you constructive criticism. Well, criticism is something that makes us grow. And he also never holds back when it's the point where he can appreciate your efforts. So I've also noticed that he puts more and more efforts the more you put your efforts. So I remember by the end of in the beginning I would not implement all of his suggestions properly, but then he also made sure that he follow up that I'm implementing each and every one of his suggestions. And by the end, as I started implementing more and more of his suggestions, and I brought in more and more of his value addition. Value addition is something that I also have to talk about again, and yeah, I will. So anyway, so as I started implementing more and more of his suggestions and value additions, he made sure that he also adds more and more, because he knows what you're capable of, and he pushes you to your limits. So by the end of my test series, I remember where he would take hours and hours, almost like more than 3 hours, where he would sit down and collect each and every bit of information specific to each and every bit of my answer, and give me something so special and unique that you would not find in other materials. So I would say something which is very special about Nataraj sir's test series is that Nataraj sir's series had this unique touch where I would not have to, but then this unique touch also came with another perk, that is I did not have to go and search for those uniqueness. It was always him doing the hard work, and I was basically spoon-fed with all the materials. All my task was to understand, learn, analyze, and utilize where it was necessary. So I had some unique examples, unique diagrams, and my answers tailor-made. It was different from those commonly available answers in the market. So Nataraj sir made sure that he puts his efforts into the paper. So I got personalized value addition for each and every answer, which made sure that I could combat every the topics do not change. It's just the difficulty that changes in this exam. So he made sure that on every topic I had something where I could write, no matter how much the level of difficulty of that question was. So I would say that is one special part of this test series. And if I'll have, as I mentioned, I want to also talk about value addition. Nataraj's test series included so much of value addition that I did not, I would be very honest when I'm saying this, that I did not have to refer to any other source apart from Nataraj's material. So when people say test series, other test series are more confined towards evaluating your answers or giving suggestions on how you could improvise on that answer. But I would say Nataraj's test series is more like a classroom program where you get extra material, or extra material in the sense it's not something that you prepare one value addition and then you just circulate to all your test series students, but it's more like each one gets a personalized value addition. Well, I know a few people from my own test series. He also makes sure that we have peer reviews, but then your privacy and anonymity among your peers is also made sure that it is kept in secret. And so I remember he showed me a few examples where my examples were different from the other examples of his other test series student, but then each of our examples was so good that every time I read others' example, I was awed. I was thinking, well, he made sure that anthropology just does not just remain as an optional subject for us. It was something that we looked forward to. This is something that I would also like to mention if I'm ever doing a testimonial for sir's classroom program, because that was one of the best classes which I ever had in my UPSC journey. Well, coming back to the test series, so his value addition was always custom made for each of his students, and it made sure that I never had to run behind any material whatsoever for anthropology. My anthropology was so well refined and well organized and stuff because everything was done by the teacher, and what I had to do was just understand and implement whatever sir gave me. So that is another specific part about the test series I would like to mention. His mentorship and test series has always been a blessing in my UPSC journey. And not just for optionals, but also for GS, as I already mentioned. And with Nataraj test series as well as mentorship program, does all make sure that this is not just some random test series where you just write answers for those questions, get it evaluated, and you learn the way of writing answers. It's also about learning concepts of anthropology where you incorporate each and every topic. He makes sure that you understand what is being asked. It's not just about understanding the question, it's about understanding the topic as well. So when I started, I was his classroom student. No doubt it was a wonderful session, but then I had lost touch with anthropology because my classes were pre-prelims. So after prelims and months before prelims. So after that, I gave many months just for prelims. So I lost touch with my optionals. But when I started my test series again, it was not just a test series for my answer writing program, and it was a wonderful experience again. It was almost like I got my whole experience, the time period where I lacked studying anthropology. I think I got back into race during this period because of the test series program. And his way of teaching itself is very unique. He made sure every time I wrote a question and he felt that I haven't done enough justice to that question, he made sure he called me and explained the whole concept again. That is something that always awes me about how he manages to give so much of attention and time to each and every one of his students. And I feel privileged because I remember there were so many days when I was always on calls with sir, relearning anthropology again, and every time he made sure that he added something extra. His examples were always new, which made sure that I never lose interest in that subject. I never felt like, for example, if I'm reading the same textbook for polity again, I would be bored after a particular time because I had read the concept, but I'm not interested enough to read it again. But then I'm also not very comfortable with the topic because I've lost touch with that. But then anthropology has never been that for me, because every time I had to relearn a topic because I lost touch and I forgot a few concepts, it had always contained some new examples, made it more interesting for me. So one time it was Ashantis of Ghana, next time it would be News of Nigeria. So it was a wonderful experience learning from him. And test series has always added more and more to my treasure trove of knowledge again. And it is something, if I ever have to redo it again, I would make sure that it's again from Nataraj sir that I would do my optionals. Coming to his feedback, after he evaluates my paper, so every question, let me start with the micro level. Every test question, every test paper, there were a few tests where he made sure I write all the questions, including those choices questions, because he wanted me not to feel uncomfortable answering any question. So that is one wonderful thing, where he would evaluate even those extra questions. And he made sure that if I could not write it as a test, he made sure that I at least write it as an assignment. And if I did not write it as an assignment, I was bound to have another call of discussion about why I did not write that as an assignment. So, and his feedback on each and every question, he gave feedback on every question. It was not just on overall what you've done in your paper, it was on every question. So each question contained feedback, where he gives you suggestions on how you could have written this answer better in your own words. And then there is other part where he adds value to it. Every answer, and in fact every part of an answer, had some value addition from his side, sometimes spanning for more than 3 pages again. So it was more like he wrote the answer again, basically. So yeah, after that, every answer had its own feedback, including tiny things like indentation or subheadings, to how you could have approached the answer better, or how many other diagrams would have made your answer more interesting, or how you could have changed your conclusion to make your answer seem more mature, or something like that. And apart from that, he would also give suggestions in a specialized section called the suggestions, where he mentions his suggestions is again so well structured, where he mentions your strengths, your weaknesses. So he does our job much more easier by he himself identifying our strengths as well as weaknesses. This is again incorporated into making your test series more and more customized for you. So yeah, this strengths and weaknesses section is something that I always look forward to. His strengths, he mentions point wise about our strengths, and again puts another heading called weaknesses, and again gives our weaknesses in points, and then goes on to explain those points as well. It was again like reading another well structured answer when you're reading his feedback. And apart from this, he also gives you overall feedback, where he allots marks to something on the main page. That is another part where you get your overall feedback. That is something which other test series do, just the overall feedback part. But his test series also evaluated your strengths and weaknesses while writing an answer. So his strengths and weaknesses were again not just limited to making sure that your answer is well structured or anything. It also included insights on how well your concepts have been clear, or how well your diagrams have been drawn, or something like that. It included also the quality of your answers. The test series of Nataraj sir has done another huge change in my nature of study. It made sure that I study anthropology not just for the sake of exams, and it made me fall in love with anthropology as a subject. So when I say that I fell in love with anthropology as a subject, I don't simply say it, I mean it. There have been instances when I just go around walking and I just see vehicles with chilies and lemons, and I think about magic and religion, which is from my paper 1 again, chapter 5. So it's something that comes out naturally, and I don't have to work towards it. It's something that he taught about learning from real life examples. And again, another wonderful thing about his test series is he made sure that one of his mantra is that anthropology is everywhere around us, because it's studying about us. It's us studying about us. And one more thing is his short notes that requires special mention. His short notes, well, when I say short notes, it's about making your own notes. Well, he gives you enough material to answer any kind of question. But then short notes is something that helps you make your personalized notes, which you think are important topics, such that it is easier for you to revise in a very short time. So these short notes are something that has been of very huge advantage to me personally. And he is somebody who lets you adopt your own way of studying. He gives you this flexible approach where you can add your own unique touch to it. So short notes is one thing, and he always emphasized on revisions. Revision has been something that has helped me throughout my anthropology preparation. So when people say anthropology is scoring and easy, I would like to differ, because anthropology is not very short and easy or something. It's just that reading and revising it multiple times is something that makes it more easy, and its real life applications is something that makes it more interesting. This is something Nataraj sir taught us in a very natural way. What I learned from Nataraj sir is that Nataraj sir made it so easy for me that the subject was no more just a textual subject for me, and it was more like a real life subject where I see and learn. It was more like a science where I can see that there are changes happening or something like that, and I learned from it. So this is one thing that made me enjoy anthropology as a subject, and I'm very grateful to sir about it. Nataraj sir's test series has it comes with mentorship program, of course, and his mentorship has been wonderful, not in just terms of guiding me throughout my anthropology, but also in making me realize where I stand in my quality of answers or my time management skills. His mentorship has always amazed me, because it has first thing, personalized, and second thing, it has, I would say, he has given a lot of time into each and every one of the students. So I am really grateful for being one among them. And as I have previously mentioned, Nataraj sir gives personalized care and attention to each and every one of his students. He makes sure that we waste none of our time running behind study materials or something like that. And he provides all of it on his own, and that too unique to each of his students, and in such a customized manner that it is easy for every one of a student to remember. So apart from that, his mentorship also involves mental well-being. So when I say mental well-being, I would like to share my own personal experience when I went to him whining about how others have finished their optionals, and how people have been telling me that they're done with their optionals and everything, and that puts me in a tight spot because I haven't even completed half of it, or even half of paper 1 to be precise. And he was somebody who motivated me, telling me that it's not about how quickly we finish the syllabus, but it's about how well we can incorporate those topics, and then how well we can produce those to convince our examiner. So he was somebody who was there throughout my journey, and he made sure that he motivated me. I am sure everybody around me remembers, because every time I got a call, it was Nataraj sir again, because he made sure he gave enough attention to his students. So his students are something like, once a student, always his students, until we find our names in the list. So there were I would just go out and sit down with my book and my pen and take down notes, because his mentorship is something like another class itself, like a personalized one-on-one teacher-student class, because his mentorship ranged from explaining concepts till asking you about how your preparation is going on. So his mentorship has been a holistic and a multi-pronged support for me throughout my journey, and it is something that I would recommend for anybody who is looking forward for a well-planned and well-executed, as well as well-implemented test series cum mentorship program. And his mentorship is not something like he gives only attention to a few selected pupils or something like that. He realizes every student's own strengths and weaknesses, and he gives same amount of support and attention to everyone who takes up this test series. His guidance has always been personalized for me and for the others of his program. And one more thing is about how approachable he is. He has always been approachable. Like, you can just go and approach him as a student. You don't find that barrier which in general stands between that formal relation of a teacher and a student. He has always been very student friendly, and no doubt is small or large for Nataraj sir, and he has always been supportive about questioning or asking more and more doubts when you don't understand a concept. So in that sense, I would say Nataraj sir has been very, very approachable throughout the test series and also his classroom program, which I am proudly a part of. If I have to particularly pinpoint any specific suggestions or advice that he gave, and something that stood out throughout my preparation or my anthropology journey, it's R. Well, I would say one is his emphasis on revision. That is something that is not very unique to anthropology, which is something that helped me in other GS subjects as well. But then GS, it is kind of hard to be revising concepts because it is vast. But then anthropology, revision is something that took me forward. And second thing is, he made me revise even my diagrams. There are times when I drew a diagram for more than 50 times. And doing that, it is, even if it was easy, revising it again and again makes you more efficient. When you go to your exam hall, in that limited amount of time where all your brain cells are struggling at their maximum capabilities, when you have revised something, it comes as a muscle memory. You don't have to invest more time or effort into it, which can be utilized in some other part where we find difficult questions. So that is one thing. Revision is something which especially needs mention of. And the other thing is how well he takes care of his students. And specific advice, if I might say, that helped me in my preparation is time management thing that he told me. Initially, he would not force me to maintain a time while writing my tests. As I've previously mentioned, there are days when I've taken more than 4 hours to complete 19 questions. So, and then by the end of test series, he made sure that I could write my tests within the given amount of time. So, there were few ups and downs. Well, I suffered so much in the beginning where I could not complete more than 15 or 12 questions in 3 hours. But then soon I was able to write in 2 hours, 58, 56 and stuff. So that was a great achievement from me, coming from 4 hours to less than 3 hours. So Nataraj sir's time management is something that I would especially remember during my exam preparation. And well, there are many other specific advices which I would make sure not to forget for if I ever have to, God forbid, write my exams again. So one thing is his approach to an answer, that is how well we arrange our thoughts. He gave me a simple formula which I could implement including in other GS, which made my answers look very holistic and make it seem like I've addressed all parts of the questions. And another thing is the importance of subheadings. That is something that he taught me, because I always thought as long as your answer is fine, headings would not matter much. But then he taught me the importance of how much headings make an impact, because he made me write a same answer twice, and one with the headings, one without the headings, and I myself could notice the huge difference that it makes. That is something that I would try not to forget. And there are many other personalized suggestions, which of course any other student who would take the test series would also get. And apart from that, there are many other common suggestions which will make your paper stand out amongst your peers, of course, because um, there would be thousands taking up anthropology as their optional, and the question paper is same for all of them. So making your answer stand out requires some specialized, personalized advice and suggestions from a very well versed faculty like Nataraj sir. Nataraj sir's test series has been a unique experience. Well, I took my GS test series also, and GS test series I learned the difference, and what I have been getting has been much above my GS test series in anthropology, because Nataraj sir's test series has been way beyond other test series, because one, he does not stop at just giving you evaluation and your marks or whatever and just leaving it there at that. He gives you personalized mentorship, and this test series also contains mentorship. And when I say mentorship, it's not just he calls you and or he just texts you whatever he writes on your paper as evaluation. It is something unique and it is something different, which is something that I have not seen in other test series. He basically understands every student, their own strengths, their own weaknesses. This is something that he does, and it is not something that we have to tell him. So he basically analyzes your strengths and your weaknesses and then frames a personalized strategy for you. And he also tries to incorporate your GS elements into your anthro test series, so that this test series will never be a hurdle in your GS preparation. So when I began, it was too late for my mains test, because I began quite late. But then he made sure that I'm not only confident but also kept me motivated throughout the program. He made sure that I could accommodate both my GS as well as optional preparation, and he made me so confident in answering anthro questions that by the end of the test series I was more comfortable with my optionals than my GS, which is in spite of my optionals being of higher level and of more specialized nature. So his test series and Nataraj sir's test series is something that is way much more unique than other test series I've ever seen, and I would strongly recommend this test series. This is not something that I just say for the sake of telling it. It is something that I, with my personal experience, am doing this. And his test series is also unique because of another factor, that is the quality of questions. So when I would say quality of questions, his questions are kind of on a difficult level. To be honest, his questions are much more difficult than what is asked at UPSC. But this level is something that helps us get comfortable with difficult questions, so that when you go to UPSC, no matter how unpredictable or how unexpected the paper turned out to be, you would still be confident that you can answer. So his test series is also different and unique in another sense, that he gives you enough material on every topic, and you don't have to go beyond anything else apart from his test series for extra preparation. And he happens to realize what is the need of UPSC, what UPSC actually demands, and he makes sure that your answer stands out amongst others. This is something that is unique to Nataraj sir's test series and Cum Mentorship program. To the quality of questions in Nataraj sir's test series, as I already said, the quality of questions is generally high, but then the nature of questions to be right. So the nature of questions is more analytical and obviously on a difficult side, so that it prepares us for the UPSC type of questions. And preparing for continuously difficult questions is something that makes you write better answers even when you get easier questions. That makes you stand out among the crowd, which writes common, easy answers for easy questions. So, and that is one thing. The other thing is when he gives you difficult questions, he also gives you a well prepared synopsis or value addition for such questions. And being analytical, his questions make sure that you understand the topic before you can write it. So that is one more speciality of this test series program by Nataraj sir. And moreover, apart from being analytical, his test series also contains challenging questions, which is this, which seems like the questions that are considered bouncers in this UPSC test paper. These questions are something that prepares you for those bouncers. So his test series has been designed in such a way that once you attend these test series, the questions in your means in your real actual means would not be that much of a surprise to you. And moreover, he has given you enough value addition in even if such questions are, even if there are questions that others might term as bouncers. This test series is something that I would personally recommend. Nataraj sir has done a great job in not just designing the test series but also in implementing it. And his evaluation has been top notch along with his mentorship program. His mentorship program is something that has benefited me not just in anthropology, as I already said. It has also kept me going throughout, kept me motivated, and kept me working towards my goal. And again, he was this constant reminder about how I want to do very well. Like he knew, he personally knows me because I was a student of his classroom program as well. And so he made sure that I never deviate from my goal because he knew what I wanted to achieve when I am doing this whole journey. And then again, his test series and mentorship is something that well, he in the beginning itself had once mentioned that whosoever completes this 20 tests in this test series will make it in this exam. But unfortunately, I could not do all the 20 of them and I did only 18. This is my first mains, and people who have already done it once or twice or even thrice felt that this year's paper of anthropology was on a difficult side. But then I did not feel it was on the difficult side, and I can confidently tell that most of his test series students also did not feel so, because we were already prepared for any sort of questions that would appear. And test paper 2 especially was something that I had written an answer for every one of the question in paper 2 at least once in my test series. His test series is also more he has incorporated both full-length test series so that we don't just concentrate on one aspect of the syllabus. Like some people just skip biological anthropology because they find it difficult. But then he makes sure that we don't do it by giving us a compulsory paper which includes compulsory questions. We would not have choice. And then there is also this choice kind of questions, just like how UPSC would give, so that we are accommodated to that type of paper at the end. And then he also has the sectional tests so that we don't ignore any section. So this is something, and sectional tests is something that makes it easier and more organized to study. And his test series also includes training us on how to incorporate daily life examples into our paper. It links outside world, real world with anthropological topics and theories. And then he also helps us understand and link those different sections together. So when I write a biological anthropology answer, my answer is not just limited to biological anthropology, but it also includes unit 6 theories, or maybe be it applications of anthropology, or be it important scholars from paper 2 as well. So that is something that is very unique to Nataraj's test series, and I would strongly recommend whoever is going for anthropology optional and are looking for some very well designed test series, this is the spot for you. So, as I earlier mentioned, once a students are always a students. I am proud to tell you that, I am grateful, to be more precise, that I'm still in contact with Nataraj sir, and he still gives me insights to be incorporated into my papers, value addition, which is, his philosophy is like learning is a never-ending process, and he makes sure that I'm still learning my anthropology and not out of touch with the subject. So, learning anthropology with Nataraj sir has been a wonderful experience.